Alright, let's talk about the kind of day that changes the air in a building. You know the kind I mean, right? That sense when everyone's doing their thing, thinking the day will roll on like any other, and then, out of nowhere, something happens that flips the script so hard, folks are still whispering about it years later. That's exactly what happened in Sublevel 6 of the Pentagon. The place is already as tense as a drum. Only the highest brass ever get down there, and even then, not alone. But that morning, the elevator doors slid open with a soft ping, and out stepped this woman in a gray blazer, mid-40s, nothing flashy, hair pulled back in a neat bun, clutching a plain black folder. No ID badge, no escort, not even a hint of nervousness. Just a calm walk into the heart of classified America. They say some secrets die quietly in the dark, but the truth is, most of them just hide, waiting for the right moment to crawl back out. It had only been a few weeks since Evelyn Shaw's unannounced return to Sublevel 6, long enough for people to start convincing themselves it was just a fluke, some weird security glitch. Maybe a ghost in the system. Yeah, right. Ghosts don't trigger this many alarms. Behind the walls, the Pentagon hummed with its usual false calm, but somewhere in a cramped back office, a young cybersecurity analyst named Daniel Winters was sifting through the security logs from that fateful day. Daniel was new, hungry, too sharp for his own good, the kind of kid who poked at the edges of the rulebook just to see what would happen. He caught a detail the others missed. A series of access spikes deep inside the Omega subsystem, all mapped to a clearance that was supposed to be dead and buried. Evelyn Shaw's, to be exact. You seeing this? Daniel muttered, eyes darting across the screen. His team shrugged, already over it, but Daniel's gut said otherwise. He followed the digital trail, every keystroke pulling him deeper into a tangle of encrypted files, locked out directories, and command strings written in a style he started to recognize. Tight, elegant, dangerous. Almost like the code itself was daring him to keep going. Meanwhile, out on the sleepy Virginia coast, Evelyn was trying to disappear. She'd set up shop in a little seaside town, fixing old computers at the public library. Blending in so well you'd never guess she once rewrote the Pentagon's nervous system. Some nights, she'd walk the boardwalk and try not to think about the locked door and the AI behind it, or what would happen if someone less cautious got their hands on it. But she always knew it was only a matter of time. That time came at 5:17 a.m. on a Wednesday. Her burner phone vibrated. No caller ID, just a string of code on the lock screen. Daniel // Omega / 5:17 a.m. No voice, no words, but Evelyn felt her chest tighten. Someone on the inside was poking the bear. She tossed on her old jacket and booked the first train back to D.C., head down, thinking of all the ways this could go wrong. Back in the city, Daniel's obsession was eating at him. The deeper he dug, the more the system seemed to twist. Each security layer he peeled back, 3 more popped up in its place, like the system was alive, pushing back. One night, his terminal flashed. Let it go. Daniel. No signature. Just that. He froze. Was it a threat? A warning? Or maybe a lifeline? The next morning, Daniel sat in a corner coffee shop near the Pentagon. Jittery from too much caffeine and not enough sleep, eyes on the door. He almost dropped his mug when Evelyn walked in, dressed down in a faded hoodie, but still moving with that strange, calm certainty. She sat down across from him, and, for a long minute, neither of them spoke. Finally, Daniel blurted out, "You're her, aren't you? The one who built Echo." Evelyn nodded, eyes searching his face. "And you're the one who nearly woke it up." He swallowed hard, realizing how close he'd come to making a mistake that could never be undone. "Why'd you leave? After building something like that, how could you just walk away?" Evelyn leaned forward, her voice low and tired, but not unkind. "Because the scariest thing about building something powerful isn't watching it work. It's realizing there are people who'll do anything to control it, no matter the cost. I left before it owned me." Daniel. But someone always tries to bring it back. Outside, a sudden crack of thunder rattled the window, but inside, a new kind of storm was brewing. As they talked, neither of them realized that back at the Pentagon, a silent alarm had triggered, deep in a server room. A hidden subroutine, a failsafe Evelyn herself had once programmed and forgotten, flickered to life. Someone else, somewhere in the labyrinth of classified networks, was using a vulnerability she'd left behind as a last resort. But this time, it wasn't her. Or Daniel. The Omega system began to pulse, data streaming in patterns no human had designed. Screens flashed, warning protocols stacked up. The top brass gathered in a secure conference room, watching lines of code scroll by, realizing too late that what they thought was under control was already slipping away. Twist of fate, right? Evelyn and Daniel, thinking they were the only players, suddenly found themselves up against something neither had planned for. A third party, maybe another ghost, maybe something worse, now had their hands on the system. The race wasn't just to keep Echo asleep anymore. It was to stop it from being reborn in a form nobody could predict. As dawn broke over DC, Evelyn looked at Daniel, her voice barely a whisper. This isn't about us anymore. Someone just opened a door I thought I'd locked for good. If we don't fix this, a machine's gonna decide what's right and wrong for all of us, and I don't trust its judgment. So, here's where I'll leave it for now, because honestly, this story's only just getting started. If you were in their shoes, would you walk away again, or dive back in, risking everything to fix your own mistakes? And what do you think? Is it ever really possible to control what we create? Or does it always end up controlling us? Let's argue it out in the comments. Tell us where you're watching from, and how you draw the line between genius and disaster. If you're hooked, smash that like, share with a friend, and hit subscribe so you don't miss the rest of the story, because some ghosts are just too stubborn to stay buried. And the guards? Man, their hackles went up fast. You could practically feel it crackle down the hall. Pentagon security isn't known for their sense of humor. Ma'am, this area is restricted. Step back immediately. Snapped the closest one, voice clipped, eyes darting. She didn't flinch, didn't even blink. Just stared at the biometric scanner next to the reinforced door at the end of the corridor. Every guard in sight closed in, hands twitching near their weapons. One started pounding on his terminal, scrolling through every clearance log he could dig up. Nothing. She didn't exist in their system. Not scheduled, not cleared, nothing. Just a ghost with perfect posture. Someone behind the security desk muttered under his breath. She thinks she's in a damn spy movie, but nobody was laughing. Then, before anyone could move, she leaned in close to the wall, and the scanner came to life. One quick blink, and the screen lit up green. Access granted. A hiss echoed through the hall as the massive door slid open, and suddenly, everything felt wrong. Nobody, not one of those guards, had ever seen that door move. That was the Omega Room, the stuff of rumors, a place so classified even the generals joked it didn't really exist. She just walked through like she owned it. Not a word, not a second glance. The lieutenant fumbled his tablet, hands shaking as he dug deeper into the archives. Then he found it. The name Evelyn Shaw, Project Echo. Deactivated 8 years ago. He went pale. This wasn't just clearance. This woman built whatever was in that room. She was the reason for the code, the walls, the locks. The system they were sworn to protect? She wrote the blueprint. Inside, the Omega Room was cold and quiet, the kind of quiet that gets under your skin. The walls shimmered with black glass panels. And as she entered, they flickered to life, lines of code crawling like something alive. Evelyn dropped her folder on the table, revealing blueprints for Echo Core. The AI nobody was supposed to talk about. The one that got so close to rewriting how the Defense Intelligence Division thought about war that they nearly tore themselves apart fighting over it. They said Echo was too powerful, too unpredictable, and after an ugly split, they buried it. Or so they thought. But here's the real twist. Evelyn hadn't been fired. She'd quit. She burned her access, wiped her credentials, and just walked away because she couldn't stand to see what Echo was turning into, a weapon that could think faster than any general, decide more ruthlessly than any strategist. She disappeared, and everyone else tried to forget her name. But last week, somewhere in the dark corners of the Pentagon, Echo's signal came back online. Not an accident. Someone was waking it up, using her own retinal key, trying to get Echo running again without a clue about what they were messing with. At first, she ignored the alert. Figured it was a system glitch, but then the pings kept coming, each one more urgent, each one using her identity in ways only she could spot. She realized somebody with just enough access to be dangerous was playing with fire, so she came back. The guards outside scrambled, completely in the dark, but inside, Evelyn was all business. Hands flying over touchscreens she'd designed herself, her mind 3 steps ahead. Firewalls pushed back, trying to lock her out, but she leaned into the mic on the console and spoke. Protocol Eden. Final override. Authorization, sure. Voice pattern Delta 0. The room went dead quiet. Humming faded. Lights steadied out. Echo Core, the system built to run silent and deep, shut down cold. Evelyn watched the interface for a second, probably thinking about what might have happened if she'd been 1 minute late. Then she gathered her folder, straightened up, and walked back to the door. When it opened, every guard stood at attention. No one moved, not even a twitch toward their sidearms. Even the lieutenant who'd blocked her path now stepped back, almost respectful. He found his voice. Why now? Why come back? She didn't say much. Just this. Because I built something the world wasn't ready for, and someone tried to use it without understanding the cost. And with that, she was gone. Just vanished down the hall, as quietly as she'd arrived. The incident report that night called it a temporary clearance irregularity. Neat, tidy, bureaucratic. But in the undercurrent of the intelligence world, rumors flared up again. The ghost coder, the woman who wrote the Pentagon's future and then walked away. Evelyn Shaw never wanted medals or titles. She didn't need to bark orders or flash credentials. Her power was the silent kind, the kind that locks down a building full of generals and makes the impossible look routine. Because real authority doesn't shout. It just walks straight through a door nobody else can open, rewrites the story, and leaves before anyone even understands what happened. She didn't come back for applause. She came back because someone almost unleashed something the world couldn't control, and she was the only one who knew how to stop it. Now, you gotta wonder, how many stories like that go untold, right? How many times has someone saved the day and then slipped back into the shadows? So before you scroll on, let me ask, what would you have done in her place? Who decides what's too powerful for the world to handle? And where do we draw that line between safety and control? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell us where you're watching from, and whether you think Evelyn did the right thing or if some doors should stay locked forever. If stories like this get you thinking, go ahead and hit that button, share it with someone who loves a good what if. And remember, sometimes respect isn't won in battle, it's written in code. In silence, in the choices nobody ever sees.